Well, now I got all the electrical done, got all the plumbing done, everything's kind of hooked up the way I want it here. You can see, looks pretty good. Looks very clean. In fact, it's much different than when I started. So now comes the exciting part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some soapy water, and I have a trigger here that has a gauge on it. It tells how much air I put in it. Maybe put about 20 pounds in it, and then spray it. See if anything leaks. If anything leaks too much around the back ports or around the side of the rear tank, I'm not really going to be able to see that. So maybe also perform maybe a leak down test where you let it sit overnight and come back and check the pressure gauge and see if it all leaked out. So really kind of what I want. My goal, I'm searching for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks would be good to be able to hold pressure. 2 weeks, maybe a month. It's kind of asking a lot. But with these Teflon connections, they really don't leak very much. I don't expect anything to leak very much at all. So let's get back here, start spraying things down. Hopefully we don't see any bubbles. All right, that's about 20 pounds. Okay, you can see got lots of bubbling happening there. So that's okay, that's just a flare fitting, it's easy to tighten. Not really seeing much of anything else. And it is right on the flare. Uh-oh. You can see the bubbling in there. And that's out of a threaded fitting, a Teflon tape. Really, I can't tighten that without taking this whole thing out. So I'll probably have to take the tank back out, fix that one. Well, that's not what I expected. That wasn't too good. The one flare fitting, no problem, but just probably be able to tighten that up with a box wrench. But that one fitting back there that's leaking, that actually is a solenoid valve for the air horns in the front. So the air horns bit me again, and now it looks like I have to take this whole tank out. But you know what? I think I'm going to take the entire system out of the car, get on the bench so we can kind of look at it, and then that way I can get around behind the tank. There's also a pressure switch that I really can't get to and do any leak checking on very well. We can test it outside of the vehicle in its entirety, put it back in. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to put some connections on the motors so I can take the pump motors out as well, kind of set it all on the bench and have it so it's kind of undisturbed, and then put it right back in the car the way it came out. Leak free, hopefully this time. So anyway, better get busy, take this apart. Well, I got it pulled out now. Now I can take my soapy water and soap down each one of these connections here. I was able to get the pump out and leave everything connected, and this is where I had a problem there. So I think the thing to do is hook up all of the lines and hook them all up to the tank the way it is. I think I can use this bench over here to kind of extend it because it's kind of wide a little bit. And then we can test out every one of these things outside of the vehicle. I think what I'm going to do too is I'm going to actually add some power into these things and get them to open up and make sure that we don't have any leaks there. So therefore, kind of want to build some type of a way to deadhead these things. You know, you can't really take the air lines out of the rear too easily, so I just got a flare nut here, and then some little bit of copper tubing, soldered the end shut. And another thing is we're going to have to take and put some pigtails onto the motors, because probably want to just be able to disconnect these things and take this all out like this. This is great for serviceability. I mean, it's took 12 minutes for me to remove this out of the car, and if I ever have a problem again, if I develop a leak, well, I'm going to be able to test it pretty easily. The thing here is too, you can see here's my pressure switch on the back, and boy, that would have been really hard to test. I don't even know if I would have been able to get to it, but it's likely if this one leaked here, this one may be leaking too. And there's also a drain plug, I would assume, in the bottom here. Probably want to be able to test that one as well. So it'd be really nice to have this completely out and then be able to leak check all these fittings, then throw the whole thing back in the car, and we should be fine. Fittings from the back of the tank, you can see that one. That one's got some pretty good bubbling. We'll test this one down here. Looks like that one's just fine. Thought it may be bubbling a little bit, but I don't think so. So really the only one we need to address is this right here. And then check out those valves over there, actuate those valves, make sure that there's no leaks on the other side of that. But that looks like a pretty good leak to me. And you would think this is leaking because you can see the bubbles kind of go down there, but it's just bubbles created by this up here. All right, well, kind of what we thought. Let's check those valves out. I think the way I have this set up is that's the dump, and that's the fill, and that's the common. We'll connect it to here. Not seeing any bubbles from that. I can hear air leaking right away. Probably leaking out of the end here. Well, it's actually leaking out of here. We'll tighten that up. Okay, this one was also leaking, but we took it out, and that's kind of what it was doing. You can see that blowing bubbles. That's good. Poof. And I heard a little poof come out the dump valve here. Poof. Okay, all these are leak free. This is really the only one I need to worry about. Okay, 110.
Two hours later.
Right, it's been a few hours now. 105. So I'm losing about 2 pounds an hour. 105. Well, go back with this. Try to find some. Oh, the threads look terrible. Got a little air in it. I can see it still has a little bit of a leak. Now tighten it up again. Alright, these are still leaking. So I'm not sure why, but this feels like it's cross-threaded in there now. So a nice, probably soft, real soft aluminum tank. So something else. Okay, I'm gonna clean these threads out. I use product like this. See if I can't screw these in there and get this to stop leaking.
Hours later.
Okay, it's been about 24 hours. Oh, maybe less than that. That looks pretty good. So I'm kind of concerned about the other one over here. We'll go check that out. That one there. So that one there is actually screwed in there in the same way. Made out of the same material. Got a brass and aluminum thing going on. Yeah, look at that. So probably want to do the same thing we did with the other one. With this one, we'll just silicone it in there. Let it sit for 12, 24 hours again. Make sure and use a really good grade of silicone. This is mil spec. It happens to be gray. It's really good stuff. It doesn't outgas.
24 hours later. Approximately 10 hours later.
All right, let's see what it is. $110. All right, good enough for me. Bubbles there. We got a leaker. Okay, so now it's down to this last fitting here. So this is the one that connected to the airbag on the right side of the car, and in the grommet that I have to pull through again. And if you look carefully on the face of this thing, you can kind of look and see if there's any split, and there's a split right there. It's right there. So I'm going to cut this off with a razor saw, and then hopefully I'll have enough room to push this nut back on here a little bit and reflare. Well, I couldn't really cut that off and have anything to flare, so I mean it only goes down that far. So been a whole new one. That's okay, because this one was kind of hammered on down in this area. Kind of had dents all over the place. So I think it might be a good idea to put these on the bench and actually just put a fitting on them and then tighten them up so you can kind of get that copper flare flat before you go and put it in there, especially if it's a bench to get in there. Like this one is. Yeah, see, there it is. So you might just want to seat these things before you do anything else. Then that'll stop this problem from happening. About ready for this project to be over. The flares look pretty good too. I'm actually going to take some time and inspect those things before I put them into service now. Live and learn. All right, let's replace. Look at that. Just so you know, this wasn't all the troubleshooting I did. I had lots of different leaks, including, those half-inch NPT leaks you see. Pretty much all of those leaked. In the rear, in the tank, and everything like that. They're really hard to get out of there, but I think I have it leak-free now. And what I've done is I set up my original pressure gauges inside, able to monitor the pressures in the front and the rear, and I noticed that, the tanks are doing good, the rear is doing good, but now the front's leaking. Not happy about that. So as I said before, the reason I converted from copper to plastic was because, well, eventually, plastic leaks. I don't care what people say. Usually if it's hooked up to a big air system, such as a home air system or something like that, probably not a big deal. But in something like this where you have little air tanks and where you come out, you maybe go into the store, come back out, car's all the way on the ground, takes you, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to, get enough air built up so you can lift the thing off the ground. Not a good scenario. So you have to figure that there is probably 20, maybe even 50 places for it to leak. You have where it screws into the NPT fitting, and then you have the flared fitting itself. Lots of potential for leaks, but once it's really kind of set up, shouldn't have a problem with it. So next week, we're going to be going over the front. I'm going to tear the airlines out all the way to the front of the car, tear the airbags out. I'm going to have a hell of a time getting copper airlines through the frame. Not even quite sure if I'm going to be able to pull that off. But we'll see next week. You like these videos? Please subscribe. I can use every subscriber I can get. Till next time.